And I'm G-Man, ST Money, you know that. Here with me, bringing you football energy with the February 16th edition of the NFL Rundown. It's a special segment of the Father, Son, and Holy Sport Podcast Network, and brought to you by our friends at Woundwise IQ. All right, Team Money, let's roll into the NFL Rundown. Okay, question for you, man. Do you think Stafford silenced the doubters and proved he's an elite quarterback?
Let me start with yes, I think he did. Like I think he proved he's an upper echelon quarterback, and I like him a lot. And I think the biggest thing is a lot of people are going to start talking Hall of Fame with him. And that's one thing I'm not sure he's ready to make.
You and I talked about that.
And we talked about that a little bit. I just think he's never been an MVP candidate. I don't think he's ever been top 5. He's never led the NFL in any statistical category other than interceptions thrown in a season. So I love the guy. I think he is elite. I will put him in like the top 7 quarterbacks in the league moving forward. I really like him. So yes, I think he silenced the doubters. He proved all the haters that said he couldn't carry a team in Detroit. He won a Super Bowl. Yes, he's elite, but I just want to push back on the people who are ready to crown this guy a Hall of Famer. Like that's my only thing. Let's pump the brakes.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what it is as a group that don't like him. I don't think he silenced all the doubters because I think there's some people that just are against him for some reason. And I don't know why, but he had an elite run through the playoffs. You cannot argue about his playoff run. And the guy, as we talked about last week, had immense pressure on him in the Super Bowl, and he still came through. I mean, you saw Chris Collinsworth, the announcer for the game, and a lot of people said that that's one of the best drives they have ever seen in Super Bowl history. That last drive where he went down and won that game. And you don't see many quarterbacks do that in a Super Bowl down the stretch.
No, that was super clutch. And he actually is, I think, like already top 7 in fourth quarter game-winning drives in NFL history. So He is known for being clutch. I will give him that. This guy is clutch, and that's what puts him in the elite category. He can do stuff like that. The no-look pass was iconic. He did do a methodical drive to win that game, but he did throw 2 picks. So the guy isn't immortal, and let's just pump the brakes on Hall of Fame. But yes, this guy's elite. He's, what is he, 33? He's got a few more years
34.
left at 34. I mean, he's got probably 4 solid more years at being a potential elite level quarterback. So I like him moving forward a lot.
Hey man, these teams, just like they did to Kansas City, they're playing back. Their D-backs are way back. They did that again to the Rams, where the defensive backs were deep. He was not going to get that long throw, and he had to pick us down the field, and he didn't, throw up the great stats because of that. Same thing happened to Patrick Mahomes, where he had those long, methodical drives. They took up all the clock, and their stats are not as good this year. Now, him or Mahomes.
Yeah, exactly. They're not the same. They're not the same. So, but good for Matt Stafford. That's exciting stuff. But let's jump over here real quick to whether or not you think the refs gave this game away. What are your thoughts on that one?
Oh, my Cincinnati, man. Hey, 2 penalties late, defensive holding on Wilson on 3rd and goal from the 8. Then they had the defensive pass interference on Eli Apple 2 plays later. But the bottom line was they knew Kupp was going to get the ball, and they still couldn't stop him. They had to hold him, hit him. There was nowhere else for Stafford to go. I mean, OBJ is out of the game. They're driving this drive down the field. Stafford's leading down the field, and Kupp was catching all the catches. He was even running the ball. He was unstoppable, and they knew he was getting it. No, it was not the referees. It was that Kupp was friggin' unstoppable. The Bengals gave up 7 sacks. They were 0-2 on 4th down. They punted the ball 4 straight times in the second half. And the last drive, they failed to even get a field goal. That's why they lost.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's frustrating as a Bengals fan watching that the game not be called basically a single flag the entire game, a delayed game, and then like two holdings, I think, the entire game. That's frustrating to see at the end, like 3 or 4 flags called on 4th downs and in the red zone, just touchy hand stuff. It wasn't blatant. And
right.
so
I agree with that.
It's frustrating to see that. So I think they did. But the most frustrating part was the play when there was the offsetting penalties, when they got to go again. I think it was on 4th down, 3rd or 4th down in the goal line.
2 plays later.
3 offensive linemen false started. 3 offensive linemen false started in on that goal in the red zone on that drive, in the last drive. And they didn't call that. And then it led to a holding. And so it's just really frustrating to see the Rams get that call when the refs did miss a very obvious false start. You can go on Twitter, you can watch that, you can YouTube it. It's clear as day these guys false started. And so that is what's frustrating. If you're going to start calling everything right at the end there, you got to make sure that you're diligent about it. And they missed that one, and it cost us the game.
Yeah. I understand, man. I understand. Joe Burrow had the ball, 1 minute to go. All he did was a field goal. They couldn't get it. I feel like, the Cincinnati still had that shot there. And I thought Burrow was going to get him something. I thought he'd at least get him a field goal. Touchdown wins. And he just did not convert. That was amazing. I thought he was going to do it. Hey man, let's go to that MVP choice. So let's talk about the MVP. What do you think, man? Should Kupp have gotten that MVP?
No, he should not have. And let me start by saying Cooper Kupp had a hell of a season. He had a hell of a game. He was unstoppable, but he's not the reason they won that game. That is Aaron Donald. He was by far and away the best player on that field. He had 3 solo tackles, 2 assisted tackles, 2 sacks, and a sack or tackle for loss as well. He was just in Burrow's face the entire freaking game. I just can't say enough. Like, he was getting triple and double teamed. That's why they had 7 sacks, because Aaron Donald had pressure in his face. The game clinching drive. Who had his fingerprints on the last 2 plays? Aaron Donald grabs a full-grown man running back with his one arm while he's getting tackled by the Bengals left tackle, stops him from getting 1 yard. And then he pressures Joe Burrow on the 4th and 1 play, basically sealing the game. He was the best player the entire game. Joe Burrow was under pressure the entire second half and couldn't do anything. And that's because of Aaron Donald. He was the best player on the field, and he should have won that. It should have been a crowning of an amazing career that Aaron Donald has.
Yeah, I can see why you say that, and I could have went that way, but I still think it should have been Kupp. The guy carried him down the stretch without OBJ. They had to go to somebody. They could not run the ball. They had a 4th down, and they ran the ball. And guess who got the first down? Cooper Kupp ran the ball and got a 4th down. The guy was doing everything because they had nothing. They could not run the ball. They had no one but Kupp out in the field because OBJ was out. This guy was unbelievable this year. Maybe he's not the MVP of the Super Bowl, but the guy coming down the stretch was unbelievable. Do you know that he passed in the postseason? He surpassed Travis Kelce, recorded 33 receptions in the postseason. Kelce had 31, set the record for most receptions in a postseason all time. I mean, the guy just played it all year. He got the offensive MVP of the year in the NFL, and coming down the stretch in the playoffs, he was great too, man. Cooper Kupp just did it.
I mean, look, I'm not going to fault him. It was just the perfect cherry on top to the incredible season Cooper Kupp had. And it could have kind of gone both ways. I just think that when you have to change your entire scheme as an offense, like the Bengals did, Aaron Donald was the best player on the field. Like, it was just clear as day.
I hope he comes
was
back.
Kind of quiet in the beginning, so I think Aaron Donald will come back. So we'll see. But let's move on to my next question here. The Bengals got to the Super Bowl. Impressive year, exciting. But moving forward next year, to you, not the Vegas odd makers, This
I'm
gonna
my technique.
I know your technique. You're gonna list off the odds here, so I'll let you do
I'm
that.
gonna say that.
I'll let you lift off the Vegas odds, but you tell me your opinion on whether or not the Bengals are the favorite in the AFC next year.
Oh, well, my opinion. Well, I can't. My opinion is formed by a lot of sources. You know, I got this complex system. Okay. I think by the time the season starts, they could be the favorite. Right now, they're not. But I think the momentum's going to build for this team. It'll build up again. People get excited about Burrow.
Should they be?
And they're going to make some moves. They got $57 million in cap space. They're going to fix that offensive line. That's going to be done. And people are going to start saying, whoa. But as I told you last time, they have to get past Kansas City and Buffalo. Kansas City's got an easy run here, the way it's shaping up. Now, the Raiders, I mean, I'm going to look at the AFC West, the Raiders, the Chargers, Broncos. I just don't see them challenging Kansas City. They're going to rock through that AFC West and come out again, and they're going to be ticked. And Buffalo is going to have a tough time with New England. I think New England's not to be messed with, man. I think they could do something, but Buffalo and Kansas City barely lost to Cincinnati. It's going to be a war, man. It's going to be a war, but I still think the odds makers got it right. It's the Bills and Chiefs in the AFC with the Bengals just slightly behind.
Yeah. I don't think the Bengals should even be that high on the favorites list. I'm being a very rational Bengals fan here. Exciting season. I love them, and I hope they're back in the Super Bowl with all my heart. But I don't know if they're even going to make the playoffs. I mean, I don't trust Zach Taylor as a coach, and you can't protect Joe Burrow. If you can't protect Joe Burrow, you're not going anywhere in the future.
They're going to fix that. They're going to fix it.
And let's just think about the division. Right? Ravens had probably the worst injury luck in the entire NFL this year, and Lamar Jackson was out. The Browns have clearly a better roster at every position other than quarterback. If they can get that decently right, they'll play the Bengals pretty well, who they beat twice in the regular season. And then you got Pittsburgh, who is better at every position as well, other than quarterback. If they get a competent guy in there, they could challenge for the division. They might not make the freaking playoffs. They might go into the hardest division in sports. And then on top of that, you got the Titans, you got the Chargers, and you already mentioned the Bills and Chiefs, who are clearly the two top of that. I am very, very nervous for these Bengals going forward, being in such a tough division and having to go through a gauntlet of the AFC where all these new young quarterbacks are going to be, and potentially Aaron Rodgers on the Broncos. Let's not forget about that.
Don't be afraid, man. You got Joey B, you got Joey Cool. You're going to be fine, man. They're going to fix that offensive line. Everybody's going to be psyched. They're going to kick butt. They're going to be right there, man. They're going to do it again. The Bengals are a force to be reckoned with. Hey, let's go over to the NFC. What do you think about the NFC next year? Let's talk about the Rams. Okay. Are they the favorite in the NFC? What do you think, man?
Well, let's lay down the odds for me here, Gary. I know you got them.
The odds? They're favored in the odds.
Yeah.
450 plus 450 or 4.5 to 1. You got San Fran second at 5.5 to 1. San Fran was not in that top 5 that we talked about all this year. There were 5 core teams that we thought were elite, and San Fran was not one of them. And now they're up at number 2. Amazing. And the next 2 are tied at 6.5 to 1, the Cowboys and Packers.
Yeah. So I think the
Tampa
Rams,
Bay.
I think
Arizona.
The Rams, I have to be favored, right? They went through the Bucks. They went through the Niners. Who trusts the Cowboys? Even with Aaron Rodgers, I think this window is closed because he just can't perform in the playoffs anymore, right? So I just don't know. The Colts could make a big leap if their quarterback plays well down the stretch and they don't lose to Clownsville down in Jacksonville in the last game of the season. But I think the Rams have
NFC, though. NFC.
Yeah, I'm just saying they just didn't do well down the stretch. But no, these Rams should be favored. Now, I love the Niners. I think if they can get a competent quarterback, if Trey Lance is even 10% more of Jimmy G, they should be favored because I like Kyle Shanahan more than McVay. I like that team more than I like the Rams. give me the Niners, but it is splitting hairs here. Rams should clearly be favored. Who trusts the Cowboys, right? Tom Brady's retired. The Bucs are not going to be the same. Packers are done. They're done. It's the Rams to lose.
I agree with you. I think the Rams are the ones in that NFC. It's amazing because it was so tight, but with Tampa falling down now without Brady and Aaron Rodgers, I think hurts them. And what the heck's going on in Arizona? I mean, these NFC's opening up for LA. And overall, though, for the NFL, on DraftKings at least, they still see the Chiefs and Bills ahead of the Rams in terms of able to win the NFL. What do you think about that?
No, I would agree with that. I think those two teams have a much, much higher ceiling. So, and I trust them to get through the regular season more with, having a better record and a bye. The Rams are in a tough division as well with the Cardinals, the Niners, and the Seahawks. So getting through that division, whereas the Chiefs should be above their division and the Bills should be above their division a little more. But I think the ceilings are a lot higher for those two teams, whereas the Rams just should be favored because they got there and everyone else kind of has question marks.
Yeah.
So
I agree, man.
Well, let's try this for you. Now we're talking about the Rams next year.
Yeah.
Is Sean McVay going to be their head coach? Is Sean McVay retiring? What do you think he should do? What are your thoughts on what he actually does?
Oh, what do I think he should do? I think he should stay. If it was me, I'd be staying, man. This team is built for another title. We just talked about it. They can win the NFC, be in the Super Bowl. Hey, if I was coach, I would do it. But I don't know if he will. He just said in a news conference on February 11th, he said he doesn't plan to be coach for long. His priority is to start a family. So that I thought, wow, that's really an indicator. And then Kevin O'Connell, the offensive coordinator, was supposed to take the Vikings job and it was kind of stalling out and nobody was saying anything. And I just heard tonight, just an hour ago, that they let it go through. I thought that maybe they were going to stop Kevin from leaving because they knew McVay was going to leave. They want Kevin O'Connell, the offensive coordinator for the Rams, just officially accepted for the Vikings head coaching job. So Kevin O'Connell is gone, and he's taking some people with him on the staff. So that really would put the pressure on if McVay leaves now to take that job. So it's funny, man, when you look at the coordinators for McVay, 4 coordinators now on the McVay staff are head coaches. You got McConnell, you've got Brandon Staley, who heads up the Chargers, and you've got Taylor on your Bengals, and you got LaFleur on the Packers. So 4 guys off of McVay's staff. That's pretty impressive.
Who would have thought this guy had a coaching tree at 8 years old, which is insane, or 36, whatever the hell he is. But yeah, no, I agree with you. He's got to stay. You're not Bill Belichick. Now, this guy is charismatic. He could easily go run TV for the next 30 years. He looks like he can do anything he wants, but I think he's got a lot more in him. And let me say this, today was the Super Bowl parade for the Rams. Everyone was cheering, run it back when McVay got up to speak. He turned around to Aaron Donald and is like, what do you think? You ready for a repeat? So that might be.
He wants Aaron Donald to say yes.
As long as Aaron Donald comes back, I think Sean McVay comes back. That's what he's most worried about. But no, I think he's going to stay. I think, this just kind of got circulated by one person saying, what if he did? And I think it got kind of blown out of proportion. I really don't think he's ever even thought about this. He said recently, and people are taking it out of context, that he could get burnout from coaching. But if you read the whole quote, he said, in my 60s, I'm going to be burnout on coaching. He's 36. So
if he does leave, I think we agree, but if he does leave, this is going to be a great job, man. I think this team's going to be in great shape. They do got Von Miller's a free agent. Odell Beckham's a free agent. They got to do something with those guys. They'll have to replace Odell because he'll probably be out. I'm guessing he's out part of the season. So they need another receiver anyway. But I think if they plug those couple of holes, make sure Aaron Donald stays, that team's going again.
For sure. I totally agree with you, man.
Hey, we hope you're loving the NFL Rundown special segment brought to you by the Father, Son, and Holy Sport Podcast Network. If you're interested in being a guest on the show and talk with us, come on, man, reach out. The show is sponsored by WoundWise IQ, it's a patented mobile analytics software app that automatically measures and analyzes chronic and surgical wounds. It's used by leading physicians and nurses caring for people with chronic wounds to document healing progress. Just download the app from the App Store. You're ready to go. Learn more at woundwiseiq.com. And if you love the show, press the like and subscribe. Look for all our shows and segments where you play your podcast, and check out our new website, Father, Son, and Holy Sport.com. T-Money, congrats to your Bengals, man. It was a year to remember.
Thanks, man. I love it. Go Bengals.